This is Bruce Buffer, your voice of MMA, and you're listening to the Loudmouth MMA Podcast.
You've got a gun, you've got a big gun, you've got a gun.
All right, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Loudmouth MMA Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Steele. Joining me today, as always, is Mr. Sean Ihaz. Hello, Sean.
How you doing?
And Mr. Tony Fignano. Hello, Tony.
Hi, how's it going?
Look at that. See, listen, I hate introductions, but they are a necessary evil. Because, you know what I mean? I don't know. Listen.
There was no build-up. That was just flat.
Sean,
that was terrible.
I'm phoning it in, guys. Hey, Sean! Is that better?
I mean, it would have been the first time.
Hey, Tony!
Oh,
I'm doing great. How about you?
Is that better?
Yeah.
Some kind of intro music to
how
introduce us, or Bruce Buffer, or some shit.
Do you want me to add in the Bruce Buffer introducing Loudmouth MMA to the beginning of this episode?
Yes.
I will do that.
Do something.
I'll
that
do
was
that.
Rough.
I'll do that for this episode. So if you heard me, if you're listening to this episode, you have just heard Bruce Buffer introduce us. I'm doing that just because of how flat I was starting up the podcast. It's been a long day.
Hey guys,
it's been
I've had a long day.
Long day.
We're talking about fights. Cheer up, bitch.
All right, I'm cheering up. UFC Fight Night 119, Machida versus Brunson, also known as UFC Brazil or UFC São Paulo, whichever one you want to go with. You'll see it both ways. Cool little card. I went through it the other day, and I was kind of surprised at how much I liked it. So I'm looking forward to this card personally. Sean, we'll start this way. Sean, are you looking forward to this card?
I'm looking forward to the card from a watching MMA perspective,
Sure.
and there's some good bets to be made from DraftKings. Is not your first time listening. That's my focus. It is a clusterfuck over there.
Sure.
Because there's so many close fights. There's not a ton of value. It's weird. There's not a ton of value below 7,500, and everybody in that mid-range, there's so many. Like, we've talked about a few times in the podcast about drawing hard lines, and I'm going to try to.
Yeah.
But there's so many fights that I'm really struggling. There's so many razor-thin fights. You got Santos Hermanson.
Yeah. That's
Price,
kind of
Luke A. There's so many.
I feel very, very, I feel the same way. Tony, are you looking forward to this card?
Just as a fight fan, I'm like fucking stoked about this. We got Thiago Santos. Like, it's just like hitters like up and down. John Lineker, Jim Miller, and Trinaldo are gonna go at it. Damian Maia and Colby Covington, that's going to be a snooze fest. But then the main event, I really like the main event, Machida's comeback and Brunson.
I don't think Covington Maia is going to be a snooze fest. I think it's going to be a blast.
Snoozer.
I think it's going to be a blast.
Snoozer.
This fight is causing so much discussion everywhere. I don't know if you guys saw, but Daniel Levy posted, who does Half the Battle, just posted, what's your lock of the night? And you got people, both sides, Maia for sure, Covington for sure. There's so much conversation around that fight, and it's like 50-50.
I'm so excited to get to that fight because I know that I disagree with both of you. So I'm looking forward to it.
I say this all the time, and then
we won't. There's no way that you guys are both picking Covington. There's no way.
Oh yeah, you're probably right.
We're gonna get there.
Though,
okay, we'll get there.
Well, I don't know. It's a 3-round fight. If it was a 5-round fight, completely different.
If it was a 5-round fight, I think that's where I would start leaning Maia. But I think it being a 3-round fight, I think 3-round fight lends itself. I think a 3-round fight lends itself to Covington more.
I just want to know what
I think it could be more aggressive.
Now I completely disagree with you.
I don't think Damian Maia's aggression level changes from 3 to 5. I think he's the same amount of aggressive.
No matter what.
I think you guys are both asking.
Exactly.
I think you're both asking the wrong question. Somebody tell me what the fuck Colby Covington's actually going to do. Like, what is his game plan really going to be?
Get on top of him?
Is that really his game plan?
Yes.
That's dumb.
No, it's not.
Yeah. You want to drag the fight down to the ground with Damian Maia?
Sure. As long as you're in a controlled position. If you take him down and you're the one controlling the position, then you're fine.
I wouldn't want to be in Damian Maia's half guard. That's a scary place to be.
Yeah, but he can hold his own. I mean, I'm not. Listen, is Damian Maia obviously a lot better on the ground than Colby Covington? Obviously, right? It's not even obviously.
Hold up, guys. Is Sean drinking a Budweiser?
Nope, Shock Top.
Okay, thank God. Well,
why is Shock Top the same colors as Budweiser?
It's a Shock Top Sunset Orange. It's always in my fridge. Dude, we had a barbecue a few weeks ago. It's in my fridge. What you got? You got a Coors Light. I drink Budweiser too.
Coors Light, buddy. I wasn't gonna drink
it.
it. I forgot they're sitting next to my computer, so I'm gonna.
I do
They're
drink
like room
Budweiser.
temperature. I'm looking forward to it.
And now I wish I had a Budweiser in memory of my fallen comrade Donald Cerrone. I
cheers.
fucking wish I had one.
Cheers, Donald. R.I.P., buddy.
Buy 4 units. God damn.
All right, should we start the actual analysis? How does that sound? You want to actually get into it?
I mean, I want to get a little drunker and make this more fun.
All right, the first fight on the main card is going to be John Lineker taking on Marlon Chito Vera. I am going John Lineker. This would be the lock of the card for me. I think Marlon Vera, he basically kind of... Listen, good for him. He had a come-from-behind victory against a guy that had no business beating him in the first place. And then got, a pretty fast submission against a guy who looked really good in his first fight and just looked really good in his last fight in Brian Kelleher. So, I think he's speeding toward the top a little quick here, and he is going to get absolutely thunderstruck by John Lineker. I'm not going to guarantee a finish, but boy, it's pretty close to guaranteed for me. But I think no matter what, John Lineker wins this fight. So, and there's no real analysis that needs to be done. I mean, John Lineker has fought the best of the best and looked competent against guys that Marlon Vera couldn't even hold a candle to. So, this is a pretty clear cut John Lineker victory for me. Tony, we always start with Sean. Let's start with you today.
Could I actually? I'm still doing a little bit of research.
A little bit of research on John Lineker,
I
Marlon Vera.
appreciate the gesture, but we'll let. John
Can I just
do
tell
his
you something?
thing.
You don't need to do any research on this fight.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you want me to go first, we can, but it's...
No, I was trying to find
long.
Well, I was going to give Marlon Vera just the slimmest possibility, just the slightest chance of getting a submission and see what the prop was on that.
Oh,
But
okay.
that was my only angle.
Okay. So
that's the one place you could go. And another just, I caught you in transition.
Exactly.
The problem is I don't think Lineker's going to try and take him down. He's going to beat him up on the feet, and unless Vera's got some new takedown entry or really has improved his movement. Vera's not a great striker. He's got some okay kicks. Nothing that's going to surprise Lineker, who's been in there with top level guys. It should be an outclass type of performance. And like I said that last week against Till, and I'm one for learning from your mistakes, but this is different because Till, he had some more recognizable weapons. Other than the I caught you in submission and a fluky type of head kick that I don't think is going to work against Lineker, I haven't seen anything yet. I think he should outclass him up and down.
Yeah, I mean, but Brad Pickett's one of those kind of the Gareth rule, where basically if you looked bad,
Too much.
if you looked bad in a fight against Brad Pickett in one of his last 3 or 4 fights, then you're kind of just you're unpickable. I mean, you have no business being in that position. Listen, Brad Pickett, obviously, right? He has that one win, man. He gets to talk about it. That's like the peaks in high school Rob Lowe. He gets to wear that jacket around and talk about that one win until the day he dies, because that win was extremely important. And right, look at what that win means now. But yeah, I mean, I think he was like 7 for 9 or something in his fights going into that one with Marlon Vera, and he was piecing Marlon Vera apart. I mean, he was winning that fight pretty clearly until that kind of fluky head kick, happened. So I can't even. If you're getting picked apart by Brad Pickett, John Lineker is just going to like absolutely breeze through you. I mean, I can't even imagine it. The sub, I mean, obviously, like Tony said and Sean said, that's always a possibility, right? Again, as Sean said, getting caught in transition. I just don't see that happening here because he would have to take him down first, and I really don't think that'll happen.
I couldn't find the odds on that. I hate to derail this thing again, but I found some. I don't know when Bovada started having weird props on here. Like,
oh, interesting.
How many Well, this isn't that weird, but how many Brazilian fighters will win?
Oh, is there like an over under?
Yeah, there's an over under at 6.5.
Okay.
And then the weird one is Lyoto Machida versus Derek Brunson. Who will be the first fighter to bleed?
What?
Yeah.
That's
I'm not sure
fantastic.
how they would.
What's the odds?
It's Machida's minus 180, Brunson plus 140.
Huh.
It's about the fight odds.
Yeah, so it's basically interesting. I'd like that a lot. That's really cool. I will never bet that ever.
Yeah, I mean, someone can get cut pretty easily and still be losing the fight handedly. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
Interesting.
you wanted the sub prop, right?
Did you find it?
Yeah, the sub prop.
I have best fight odds open. Best fight odds. If you guys don't use that, you're listening. You probably should get. Let's see. Vera wins inside distance is plus 581. You know what? I don't see. They don't have a sub. Oh wait, Lineker wins by sub. Vera by sub plus 700.
Wow.
Yeah, I like it. I like it at that price.
Sure, I think if you want to pepper it,
bets.
like if you want to put like a quarter unit or tenth of a unit or something on it, just
I usually do about a quarter of a unit on those crazy ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's plus 400 just to win. It was different when we got Michel Prazeres, who was plus 2, was a favorite to win, and was plus 1,200 to get a sub.
Yeah.
Like that's different. He's plus 400 to win, plus 700 for a sub.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next fight here. Probably one of the closest fights on the card.
Give me nightmares. Nightmares.
Yeah, we have Thiago Santos taking on Jack Hermanson. I'm going to pick Santos here, but I'm not picking it with any type of, intensity. I don't have a strong read on this one. I just think, again, you kind of talk about that. I know you got to be careful with the strength of schedule, but it just seems like, again, Santos has been in there with guys that just. Does this fight kind of feel like the Jack Marshman fight a little bit? I guess that's where I'm drawing a parallel to. I'm drawing a parallel with Hermanson and Marshman.
No, because I don't think Marshman's any good. I like Hermanson's game.
Yeah, I mean, Hermanson's just kind of a better version. But maybe because they're both named Jack. Maybe that's why I'm drawing the... but when I was thinking about this fight, that was like the line that I was drawing in my head, is I was imagining this fight going very similarly, except Marshman didn't put up as much of a fight, and I think Hermanson would put up more of a fight, but stylistically it feels like it would be pretty similar.
It could be, and strength of schedule, yeah, but Thiago Santos got tore through on the ground by Eric Spicely.
Dude, Eric Spicely just absolutely, did it, and I don't even think that was hey, you got caught. That just felt like he was worse.
Spicely hung in the ground with Antonio Carlos Jr., who's a heavyweight fighting at 185 with world-class Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But again, we'll get there on this card.
Very
Spicely,
true.
While Spicely was outworked, he didn't get destroyed down there. Spicely's got a legit ground game, and Santos isn't great on the ground, and that's what throws up red flags for me on this fight, because Jack Hermanson, the way he's going to win, the way he beats people, is he takes you down and he beats the ever-loving piss out of you. Yeah. He won't sub you. He's going to get on top of you and just start raining down strikes until someone jumps in and stops him. And if he can get Santos down, he's Mearshart had 3 takedowns against Thiago Santos. Didn't do anything with him, but he took him down 3 times.
Boy, and that's when they go. That did not age well.
No, if you get taken down here, he's going to have a real problem. But up on the feet, Santos is a better kickboxer. I think I'd want to see them at weigh-in square off, because I'm not getting a great sense on who the more filled out, bigger guy is. I would think Santos, but I'm just not sure. So that's a little bit of a factor. But it comes down to just stylistically, what do I think is going to happen here? And I'm leaning Santos, but God, it doesn't feel great, because, Hermanson's last 2 wins are against Nicholson and Bradley Scott. And in the Bradley Scott fight, I was all in, max 5 units, 100% in DraftKings, and he came through. I didn't see much of a challenge in this fight, and this is just so different. Hermanson's wins, by the way, are Scott Askham, Alex Nicholson, and Bradley Scott. And he went to Brazil one other time, and he got subbed by Cesar Ferreira. Now he's not going to get subbed in this fight. It's just, can he get it down? And I'm not. It's tough. I'm really, really struggling with it. I'm leaning Santos. I think the experience, he keeps on the feet. Although, Tony, do you know, are they fighting in a smaller octagon this week? I thought I read that somewhere. Any idea?
They were trying to figure it out. There's nothing solid at the moment.
God, if they use the small, you know what? This is how close this is. If they use a smaller octagon, give me Hermanson. If they use the bigger one, give me Santos.
Wow.
That's how tight the fight is to me.
Tony, thoughts?
I mean, yeah, Sean already said it basically, but it's like it's a knockout artist versus a ground and pound knockout artist, I guess you could say, or TKO artist. And I would have to lean Santos. I mean, obviously we haven't seen them square off yet. The weigh-ins haven't happened yet. But just from seeing their previous fights, I feel like Santos is the more filled out fighter. Like he does have more, muscle and everything. A very strong base. He actually has decent takedown defense. It's right around 70%. If Hermanson does get him to the ground, I mean, I don't know. That's where things get a little bit dicey. But Santos's stand-up game is fucking scary. Like he's one of the definitely the upper echelon of Muay Thai fighters in the UFC right now.
Yeah. If I end up going with Santos, I'm just going to scream, "Stay on your feet" for 15 minutes.
Yeah, right. Just don't get taken down. Well, and it's like he almost assuredly is going to get taken down at least once. So is that going to be enough? Because I wouldn't say this is a Derek Lewis type where if you get taken down by Derek Lewis, that's all there is. He's just going to get on top and it's over. I wouldn't say Hermanson has that level of if he gets the one takedown, well, that's it, called a day. But if he gets you down and then he gets into that position, it's going to be a little hard because he will take him down.
That's all he's needed in his 3 wins. One takedown and ground. And
I know. See, that's what I'm saying. I mean, he will get one takedown. That will happen. Santos will get taken down one time. There's no way he makes it 15 minutes not get taken down.
If it's in the first 2 minutes, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah. All right. So basically, that's what it's going to come down to in this fight. It's going to come down to, can Hermanson get a quick takedown? If he can't, the longer the fight goes, the more it probably leans into Santos's favor.
And I'm still keeping my streak of drawing a hard line. It's just figure out what the octagon cage size is, and that's my pick.
There you go. Awesome. All right, moving on to our next fight here. Once I pull it back up, we have. Hey, this is a good one. We have Francisco Trinaldo taking on Jim Miller. This is a good fight.
Versus Father Time in a triple threat match.
I like it. I feel like they both are. It's Father Time versus Father Time. I mean, obviously Jim Miller has seen better days. I mean, hasn't won a fight in a little while here. Francisco Trinaldo, his last fight was getting submitted by Kevin Lee. Probably one of the funnest fights I've seen against Yancy Medeiros. What was it, about a little over a year ago? About a year and a half ago. Fantastic fight. The win over Paul Felder, I think, aged pretty well, given the stuff we've seen from Paul Felder since then. I don't know. It feels like Trinaldo is still on a higher trajectory than Jim Miller. But as far as stylistically, I guess that's what we have to talk about. So I don't have a great read stylistically here. I'm going to pick Francisco Trinaldo, but I could easily have my mind changed. Tony, let's start with you.
I mean, yeah, I would have to. I'm gonna lean Trinaldo as well. Although Jim Miller could definitely grind this out, and he has an incredible chin, super tough guy. It's a razor thin match. I'm just going with Trinaldo, I guess. I think he's a little bit younger. I hope, right?
I don't know. They're both
way.
pretty old.
Jim Miller's
They're both pretty old.
34.
I guess. Oh,
he's not that old.
Ronaldo's one of those like young old guys because it's
39.
Like,
he's 39, but he has the body of like a 26-year-old, so it's okay.
The libido of an 18.
And Jim Miller's 34 and has the body of a 40-year-old. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Shit. Well, that kind of changes my. Yeah. I don't know. Because Ronaldo's gas tank really isn't that great. Miller can go 3 to 5 rounds, no problem. Definitely a wrestler at heart and grind. I'm gonna change my mind in the middle of the podcast and go to Jim Miller. I think he does enough to grind this one out.
Weird. It's not weird, but it's given the information. I'm intrigued that you switched over to Ronaldo so easily.
Well, he's 39.
Ronaldo,
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
but
Yeah,
as a 38-year-old, he beat Paul Felder. He landed 117 strikes from Yancy Medeiros. Granted, he almost got knocked out in that fight, but he clawed back from that and put on a hell of a fight. I mean, he's beat Ross Pearson. I mean, his last few fights.
You love to shit on Ross Pearson.
Sure, but this was also Ross Pearson not that long ago. This is Ross Pearson less than 2 years ago. But I mean, the win streak he put together. I mean, these are the guys he's lost to, other than Holman. Tibiao, Michael Chiesa, and Kevin Lee. Those are the guys he's lost to. And then he also lost to Holman. He had a 7-fight winning streak against Leonardo Silva, some guy I've never heard of, Norman Park, Chad Laprise, Ross Pearson, Yancy Medeiros, and Paul Felder before, going up against Kevin Lee. But Kevin Lee just, you know what I mean? Just fought for the title, essentially. So you can't really hold that too much against him there. So I don't know. I just think Trinaldo's in such a better place here. It seems like Jim Miller is kind of a shell, and Trinaldo still seems like he's fine.
Well, Jim Miller is only a couple fights from recovered from Lyme disease. Like, he was a shell of himself for a while, and really his last 2 fights, he lost to Anthony. You want to talk about good losses? He lost to Anthony Pettis.
Yeah.
Where Anthony Pettis looked like Anthony Pettis again, and he put on a hell of a fight with Dustin Poirier. That was fight of the night, and Poirier looked fucked up after that. Like, that was a great fight, and before that, he was on a 3-fight win streak.
Well, and his losses are other than the 2 you just listed, Diego Sanchez, Michael Chiesa as well, Benil Dariush, Donald Cerrone, Nate Diaz, Benson Henderson, right? Those are his losses. So yeah, very valid point. He's beat his last victory was against Thiago Alves, Joe Lozon, and Takanori Gomi, which that doesn't really mean the Takanori Gomi win doesn't really mean anything. But
well, it had a gold cage in it.
Is that that was the UFC 200? Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So stylistically with this fight, for me, it's like Tony alluded to, it's the cardio. Trinaldo's cardio is not good. He's even older. Miller, a little younger, I think, can just throughout his career could always push a little longer. So it's that. Plus, I'm looking at takedowns now. Jim Miller took down Anthony Pettis once. All right, it's not great. Took down Thiago Alves 4 times. The takedown, he has the wrestling game. It's there. Whereas Trinaldo, even in his wins, he was taken down twice by Ross Pearson. I need to go watch that fight again. He was taken down 4 times by Norman Park. Okay. So he clearly can be taken down. Even I believe he's a Nova União guy. But, he can be taken down. He's a kickboxer. I think he's deservedly the favorite because he just coming off that, his loss. He just had a 7-fight win streak snapped by Kevin Lee. And Miller's coming off back-to-back losses, and he looks like he's aging. It's just, stylistically, I'm willing to take the shot on the dog. I don't know if I'm going to make a bet. I'd probably bet this one if it wasn't in Brazil. But that's the only fucking place Trinaldo fights. If I had to go back and look, he doesn't fight anywhere outside of Brazil, and that's a whole other thing when it comes down to judging. This could be one of those fights where Trinaldo wins the first round and a half, and the last 7.5 minutes, Jim Miller wins, and we all go, well, they're in Brazil, so that's 29-28 Trinaldo, and I don't know. I'm going to take Miller, but it's not confident enough to make a bet.
Yeah.
And DraftKings wise,
I'm still leaning Trinaldo, but again, I have the same level of confidence. It's not really. It's
I
not anything to write home about.
I like drawing hard lines, and I just can't.
Yeah.
I have an overly precise prediction, I guess, is that Trinaldo hurts Jim Miller sometime in the first round, totally blows his wad, and then gets taken down and grinded out the last 2 rounds.
But that's kind of what happened in that Yancy Medeiros fight, and it did not end up mattering.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, anything can happen, but
Yeah.
I'm just throwing shit out there, honestly. Because if Trinaldo is smart and actually does follow a good game plan and paces himself and is aware that he has that bad gas tank, I think he easily gets the win. But I just haven't seen that from him, where he's systematically just kind of taking somebody out like that.
Yeah.
I don't think Jim Miller's the guy to try to get out in the first round or the second round or something.
Yeah. All right, moving on here. Pedro Munoz taking on Rob Font. Great matchmaking here. I love this fight. I love that, again, where they're ranked. You have Rob Font ranked at 13. You have Pedro ranked at 12. Just great matchmaking.
Everybody stand clear of Kyle's raging Rob Font direction.
You guys ready? If you guys don't want to hear it, plug your ears. I'll give you a 3-second pause to plug your ears if you're listening to this podcast and you don't want to listen to me go on and on about Rob Font. Give me like 10 seconds. Give me 10 seconds. Rob Font's fighting for a title. This isn't the guy who's stopping him. Rob Font wins. And he wins easily. If he wants to knock him out, he'll knock him out. If he wants to sub him, we'll sub him. If he wants to take him down 10 times, we'll take him down 10 times. If he wants to jump on his back and ride around, I think he's better than Pedro Munoz in every possible way. I got no qualms. No qualms. This is not the fight where he gets stopped. I think Rob Font will have issues as he climbs up the ranks. This is not the guy to give him issues. That's it. Rob Font's fighting for a title. I think he is. I think he next year, 2018.
At 135?
Yep.
Ooh. Maybe.
Yep. I listen. I think.
Did you see Garbrandt said he was going to go to 25 to fight DJ?
He won't. Yeah. I mean, listen. I think if he could,
I mean, he's a moron. He might cut an arm off to try and do it.
I mean, if he could, I would give him a decent chance at being able to win. But he can't. I think he'd, I believe the talks of going to 145 make more sense. He still loses to Max Holloway, but I mean, I think that makes more sense. Like those talks, I think are more real.
I think if Garbrandt tries to go to 25, that's going to be something's going to happen. He's not super bright. Go watch The Ultimate Fighter, and that might be the impetus for us to finally have some new weight cutting rules because he'll hurt himself.
Just
he'll hurt himself trying to get to fucking 25.
Jeez. Sean, talk to me about this fight.
So I agree with most of what you said.
Sure. I was also being dramatic for comedic's sake.
Right. But I just want to pick apart the places where it was some dramedy.
Sure.
He's not going to take down Pedro Munoz.
No, I think he knocks him out. Honestly, I think he just knocks him out on the feet.
That's probably what happens. Even at 35, Rob Font has power, and Munoz just pushes forward, and Rob Font's going to jab, circle out, overhand, hook. He's going to just snap the head back of Munoz just because of that forward pressure. I would say against most strikers in division, he knocks out a lot of them, but he probably wins the technical stand-up battle. The forward pressure of Munoz is actually going to work against him, and I'm also thinking a knockout in this one. I also think Pedro Munoz is way overrated. I picked Damian Stasiak against him. I also picked Stasiak against Kelleher, and that did me a whole fuckwad of good.
Is that that's your William McGirt?
Oh, that was bad. But I mean, that was a fun fight. For what it's worth, it was a fun fight, and it was also part of a pick against Kelleher and Munoz. I don't think either of them are that good. And Munoz is now 15 because he's got some hype and a couple wins. And this is Rob Font's going to derail that. Quick, fast, and in a hurry.
I agree. Tony, baby girl, if you say anything different than what I said, I'm coming at you.
Yeah, I want to see that.
I'm not saying what you said because I'm not going to fanboy out over Rob fucking Font.
Yeah,
I love
he's
Rob
not
Font.
TJ Dillashaw.
I love Rob Font.
Jesus. You're the first person I know that loves Rob Font. But yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna. Sorry, but I'm not gonna draw a hard line in the sand. It's a very evenly matched fight, and I mean, both these guys are in their prime. They're both 30, 31, both on winning streaks. Both, obviously going to make the jump, into the upper. Maybe not the upper echelons of the top 10, but the lower part of the top 10. And I don't really care. I don't have like a preference of who wins. I'm not rooting for anybody. I just know it's going to be a good fight. Is that wishy-washy enough for you?
A little bit. I mean, I feel like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll reevaluate. We'll reevaluate your connection to Loudmouth MMA moving forward. But we'll at least get through this episode and we'll reevaluate. We'll reevaluate moving forward. All right, moving on.
Asshole.
I don't think he's kidding.
Up to our co-main event, we have Damian Maia taking on Colby Covington. We talked about this fight for a little while. Listen, at the end of the day, let me give my. I tend to be dramatic because it's more interesting. Okay, so let me remove the little fourth wall hat. Let everyone know. A lot of times I'm very dramatic with my picks because, like I said, that's more interesting. At the end of the day, I think for anyone to have a really clear read on Damian Maia, Colby Covington, I think you might be lying to yourself a little bit. That's
everyone has a read on this. It's crazy.
And I think anyone who's truly, like legitimately going, I am for sure this, or I am for sure this. You're either doing what we normally do, what I normally do, which is I'm just kind of drawing a hard line for the sake of drawing a hard line, or you're just completely lying to yourself. Because at the end of the day, right, you don't know what losing your shot at a title does to a guy like Damian Maia, right? You don't know. He also, even in victories, his takedowns are so awkward. It seems like people are picking up on how to stop him, right? Even Jorge Masvidal, I mean, really was able to get away from a lot of that stuff. And Colby Covington, as far as ring IQ of keeping Jorge Masvidal has great ring IQ. He really does. I'm not like bad-mouthing his ring IQ. But as far as just the ability to stop takedowns and understanding what to do when that happens, like Colby Covington is kind of a step up, as far in that department. And I mean, how many takedowns did Tyron Woodley just stuff? 21. I mean, I think people are really figure. I mean, you get up into the upper echelons of this division, and people are starting to figure this stuff out, and they look really, really awkward. He's old. Like I said, he just lost a shot at a title. Even beating Covington, that doesn't get you right back into the title. You know what I mean? There's still a little pecking order there in front of you, probably. So I don't know. We don't know what effect that's going to have. And with Colby Covington, he's never fought a guy like this. I mean, I remember before the Kim fight, the big argument against Covington was that Covington had never fought a guy like Kim, right? And that's where I was fanboying out and going, it doesn't matter if he's never fought a guy like that. It's irrelevant. Like, he's better than him. He just hasn't had a chance to prove it yet. Obviously, we know what that fight is. I kind of feel the same way about this fight. I think Covington is a guy who, I don't think he beats Woodley, but I think that's where he's headed, and I don't think Damian Maia is going to stop that. So, but again, if you don't have a read on this fight, I promise. Like, you get not fully, like, you don't have a one or the other full on read on this fight. I promise. You could try, but you just there's some unknowns here. So I'm going with Covington, and also just because I want Covington. I'd rather have a guy like Covington. It's more interesting to me. He's younger, he's brighter future, right? I'd rather have a guy like that kind of continue to move forward and not take a step back. So I guess I'm also having that type of bias as well. Sean? Sorry, I talked for so long.
No, it's good points, and let me try and help some of you out there and either shed some of you like, I know how this fight's going to go, or help you understand why some people feel that way. As delicately as I can put this, Colby Covington's persona, his persona is fucking obnoxious, and I hope his persona, not him, his persona, fucking dies in Brazil. I hope it gets like just murdered in the back alley.
The problem is he's a lot of people find him to be so boring that the only way anyone's going to talk about him is, God, I hate this guy. He's so annoying. I hate this shtick.
He's talking shtick. He's doing his shtick with Darren Till, who's like, oh, he's no longer a fucking nobody. He's just a nobody. The dude's got like 5 times as many followers as you.
Right.
Are you kidding me? Like,
That's
you
funny.
read it. So people hate him, and that's he's doing it on purpose. He's playing the heel. Good for him. I get what he's doing. You have to, as best as you can, separate yourself, your analysis from that. And it just gets real tricky where while Maya's stand-up has improved, I think Colby's, which also isn't that good, they're both, it's BJJ versus wrestling. They're both, but it's mixed martial arts. They both have some stand-up. I think Covington's might be marginally better. I want to know what his game plan is. I think I said this in the open. Is he going to go out and try and take down Maya in the first 90 seconds when they're dry, and then that's Maya's world. I know he could be in a dominant position. Do you really? You hear the cat.
I hear the cat. Tony, have you been on an episode with the cat? I'm pretty sure you have.
Do you get back to this? Do you really want to go down there in the first 90 seconds and risk getting subbed? Like Damian Maya off his back and in half guard, it's a problem. If you tell me Colby's going to stay away, make Maya shoot, use some defensive wrestling, and then go for takedowns later in the fight, I feel much more comfortable. That being said, I think Maya winning this fight is he is less path to victory. He is reliant on the submission off his back or getting the takedown against Covington, which I don't think can happen. I know Covington's a great offensive wrestler. I'm kind of assuming some of his defensive wrestling skills, but I mean, he's an D1 All-American. I would assume they're there, and that's why I'm leaning Covington. I know
the concern with Covington too. I was going to say, and you started to hit on this. The concern with Covington is that some of that, aggressive offensive wrestling that he has could, and this is what you're alluding to, could absolutely work against him. I mean, because
he goes out in the first 60 seconds, gets a takedown, but lands in a bad position. Well, Damian Maya's either swept you or taken your neck or taking your arm home with him, and we're done.
Yeah.
But I think that's Maya's reliant on that to win. So just because Covington has more paths to victory, I find myself leaning Colby Covington, which I know is not where you thought I was going.
Yeah, I did not.
I do think he's a little overrated, and I love Damian Maya. It's also a little bit of the intangibles of he's 39, he's not getting another title shot. That was it. That Woodley fight was it. Is he going to retire after this? He might retire.
Yeah,
and if you go into a fight thinking I'm done, that's it. If you go into that cage thinking you're done, you're probably fucking done.
Against a guy like Colby Covington especially, man. A guy that's that hungry, that young, that powerful, you can't go in there any less than 100%. I mean,
so I'm going to pick Covington and pray he doesn't go for a takedown in the first 60 seconds.
Tony? Finiano?
Yeah, I think you guys hit on all the good points here. I would say, we don't know what Covington's game plan is. If he's going to use his wrestling to try to, stave off, I guess his wrestling defense to stave off Maya's grappling and keep it standing, I mean, then we're entering like a whole nother fight basically. But then if he's going to use his wrestling and take it down to the mat, I feel like there's a chance he could get caught. Like you guys were talking about, he could be trying to be aggressive and get caught with something. But like I alluded to earlier, I mean, if this was 5 rounds, I'm going with Covington for sure because of the gas tank of Maya is just awful. And every 5-round fight I've seen Maya in, he's been terrible. Not to be, I'm not to hate on the guy.
I got you.
Great talent. But I was also surprised by the line. I don't know about you guys, but he opens up somewhat. I think he was a favorite versus Tyron Woodley, right?
Yeah, it was close.
Or opened up as
it
a
was
favorite.
pretty close.
When the line's open, I think he might have been a favorite, and now Covington's like plus or minus 120.
No, Maya opens the plus 160 dog.
So yeah, that just
What? So wait a minute. Is he right now? He is disfavored against Covington.
Yeah, it opened.
Wow.
Well, it opened at
I didn't know that.
plus
I haven't looked.
opened like that
100.
too.
I haven't looked at any odds or DraftKings, so I have no idea where this stands.
When you open up DraftKings, just trying to have a seizure.
Is it crazy?
The
Craziness?
pricing is sharp. It's good for DraftKings, but it's sharp pricing.
They were smart
it's
with
hard
it.
to make it. It's hard to make a team you feel good about.
Is John Lineker the most expensive person?
Yes.
Fuck.
And
I was really
and then
hoping that would be more underrated.
Nope, and then Antonio Carlos Jr. and then
Yeah,
Zaleski
I was gonna say
Santos.
Carlos Jr. is gonna be my next one, so never mind. I might pick Griffin. We'll get to
So,
that
I
fight.
mean-
We'll get to that fight.
Staying on this fight though, at least, with, I'm definitely gonna I'm taking Covington, and it like Sean said, more past the victory. He could wrestle Maya and avoid the submission for 3 rounds, and get that decision. I also think that he does. I would say that he does have that advantage on the feet. I just from seeing both of their limited stand up, I would give it to like a slight edge to Covington. And if he wants to make it, I feel like it's in Covington's hands. Like he's the one who could decide where the fight goes. And if he's the one who decides he wants to strike and wins that battle, I'd give it to him there too. So just more past the victory and also youth and all those things you guys already hit on.
Yeah, what's the one, as you were talking, I thought if Maya has another path to victory, I mean, it's still sub-dependent, but if at some point a sweep or he gets a takedown somehow or just something funky happens, have we ever seen Colby Covington on his back? Wrestlers on their back just tend to just freak the fuck out. And I don't know if he'll know what to do if Damian Maya ends up in a dominant position. Like it could be real bad real quick. It could only take a second. But I guess that's most Maya fights. I just kind of thinking out loud. I don't think I've seen Covington on his back.
Huh.
And I wouldn't test it against Damian Maya.
No,
Good
I
point.
wouldn't either. All right, main event here. Let's try to wrap this one up in 3 minutes. That puts us at 45, and then we'll spend 15 minutes going through the prelims. So let's make this one quick, because honestly, I don't really think there's much to talk about here. I know it seems like there might be, but Derek Brunson, Lyoto Machida, the problem is, again, talk about some unknowns here. Good Lord, Machida's making his return here. You don't know. I don't remember what he popped for, but I feel like did he pop for a bunch what did he pop for? You don't even remember?
Dick pills and cocaine. No, I think it was steroids.
He didn't pop for anything. He admitted, he told them that he took something and was therefore suspended. And then the test came back and they were fucking negative.
That's what it was.
Yeah, it was a terrible situation.
Yeah, but anyway, he's been out of the cage for a little while here.
Don't be honest, kids. Don't be honest.
That's the lesson we learned. But anyway, he's been out of the cage for a little while. His last fight was June of 2015, which was a knockout loss to Yoel Romero. Before that, a little while. It's been over 2.5 years. It's been 2.5 years, basically, just about, under. But anyway, his last fight, he got knocked out by Yoel Romero. Before that, he got submitted by Luke Rockhold. Then you're going back in 2014. Obviously, he fought for the title, but lost, but fought for the title. It's just, it's been. I don't know. This is one of those things. There's some unknowns here. I will say this is the perfect opponent to make a return against, because Derek Brunson, while he does have the power there, he has the worst ring IQ, I think, in that division at this point. His ring IQ is just horrendous. And if you need any evidence of that, go ahead and go watch that Robert Whittaker fight again. Good Lord. He looked like a moron. So now he's already talked about it. He was trying to chase it. Obviously, he looked much safer when he was going against Anderson Silva in a fight that he lost. But I think we all
No, he didn't.
We all are pretty aware that he won that fight. But yeah, a lot of unknowns here. That's all I got. A lot of unknowns. I'm picking Derek Brunson, but a lot of unknowns.
Dude,
Doesn't matter. Tony, you go first.
Lead us up, fearless leader. Jesus.
I thought it looked like Tony was about to start talking, so that's why I just was giving him the floor.
Sorry if I didn't mean to jump in line here, but I would completely disagree with you. I'm picking Lyoto Machida.
That's fine.
But
what part do you completely disagree with? I don't care if you're picking Machida. I don't feel very strongly about Brunson. Do you disagree that there's a lot of unknowns?
No, I don't disagree with that at all. There are a lot of unknowns. What we do know is that Derek Brunson has no defense whatsoever to speak of.
No defense, likes to stick awful ring IQ.
Yeah, and he likes to stick his chin in the air. He likes to have his chin just prime target. He should have a tattoo that just leads up to his neck.
Yeah, it's an arrow
with an arrow, because he just likes to stick that fucking chin out there. And if you do that versus Machida, I don't care if he's been out of the game for 2.5 years. I know that he was training his older little brother for his fights over in Bellator.
Did he lose though?
He did lose, but he looked pretty good before he got subbed by Conor McGregor mini.
Yeah, it was James Gallagher.
Yeah. But I know he stayed active. I know he's not just he has a karate school, mixed martial arts school in LA. It's not like he's just sitting there drinking piss all day and hanging out and watching TV.
I love all the piss memes that I've been seeing this week. It's been nice.
So like ring rust, yeah, that's totally a thing. I mean, I don't unless you're Dominic Cruz, I guess. But most guys have ring rust, so I mean, maybe he's a little bit slow, and Brunson is able to get some takedowns.
Yeah, I'm just concerned if you're slow, because the way that Derek Brunson wins is he fucking just bull rushes you.
True.
And my concern is that if you're a little slow, Brunson's just going to bull rush you and he's going to knock you out. I mean, that's his thing. I mean, he had umpteen straight first-round KOs until he fought Whitaker, and Whitaker is basically the actual 185 champion. You know what I mean? So if you're even remotely slowed down against a guy like Brunson, I'm just concerned that's the only reason why I'm leaning Brunson. I mean, that's it.
He's also a terrific counter striker.
Yeah, so very, very true. If he gets bull rushed, he's going to use it against him. Exactly. Yeah. No, I agree. I'm just banking on the fact that Machida is going to be even more slow than we think. Like that. I guess that's where I'm coming from. I'm being very speculative. But it's just, I don't know what to really. It's hard not to be speculative. I mean, again, there's just a lot of unknowns here. Sean.
Yeah, I think you guys hit on everything pretty well. The 2.5 years off it's too big of a red flag for me to pick Lyoto Machida, especially 2 losses before that. How many? Lost 3 of his last 4, and his 1 win was to CB Dalloway. Cool.
Yeah. His last good win, I mean, and it's a good win. He beat Gegard Mousasi, although it was in a pretty boring fight, if I remember correctly.
Yep, low output.
Yeah, kind of low output, very counter focused. Well, I mean, Lyoto Machida, if you really dig into his numbers, I mean, he is. This fight could very well end up looking like the Anderson Silva fight. Yeah, Derek Brunson, Anderson Silva. I mean, this could look very much like that. 2 guys dancing around in a circle, nothing really happening.
It's going one of 2 ways. We're going to see vintage, and I'm going to call it vintage because it's what he's done more of, Brunson running at someone, and he'll either
get a knockout or get knocked out. Yeah,
or get knocked out, or they're going to counter strike and sit around.
That's going to be really boring for 5 rounds.
So I'm going to take the guy, the aggressor who's not been off for 2.5 years, and pick Brunson, understanding that he could get knocked out and run into something. Or it's the same problem with Colby Covington. What the fuck is he going to do? Somebody tell me his game plan. Although with Brunson, his game plan doesn't matter. He's going to go in there, whatever he feels like doing, he's going to do.
Yeah.
So I'll take Brunson and pray.
There you go.
Public service announcement, Whitaker is not kind of or sort of. He is the 185-pound champion. I hope the MSG card sells like shit because Bisping is headlining it with GSP. I hope it sells nothing.
I know, but the rest of the fights are so good.
They really
Everything
is.
else
It's
is
a
so
great
good.
card. Great card.
And it would hurt them. It would hurt their stocks if the fight doesn't
I know.
sell as well. So I
I wanna-
really
you know,
want.
I live in Long Island. I want to see if I can organize a walkout at the main event. So everybody just fucking leave.
There you go. All right, so moving on to the prelims here. Headlining the FS2 prelims, we have Vincent Luque taking on Nico Price. Nico Price is a guy, again, talk about guys I have trouble picking. I mean, Nico Price, man, he has, I think, shown... I really thought that Joban fight was going to be just way... Like, all right, kid, you submitted Brandon Thatch. Brandon Thatch would get submitted by a fucking rock. You know, you got really hurt by Alex Moreno and wound up coming back and getting a finish, like, after the bell. I like Nico a lot, so I'm not talking shit, but, and that fight got overturned, but it was for pot. It wasn't overturned for anything real. You smoked pot, whatever. So then he goes in the Alex Joban fight. I'm like, wow, okay, here it is, right? You're moving way too fast. You know, I don't think Joban's that great, but Joban's he's going to fuck you up. It's going to be over. Well, that's not even close to what happened. So I just have a hard time picking him. And then same thing with Vincent Luque. You know, this is a guy who I was super, super high on, you know, and then he goes in and just looks pretty pedestrian against Leon Edwards and just really has kind of driven me off of him. So do not, whatever my opinion is here, guys, do not trust it. I'm going Vincent Luque, but as I've already said, I have a hard time picking Nico Price. So I'm going to go Vincent Luque here, but spoiler alert, when Volkan Ozdemir fights Daniel Cormier, I'm 1,000% picking Daniel Cormier, which means that he's going to get knocked out. So this feels like that to me too. Nico Price feels like that kind of person where I just don't understand how he's winning.
Do you remember my prediction? I think that was when I first came on here. Was around the Nico Price Alan Joban fight? And I said Nico Price has the better power, and I could see him finishing him early.
I just
said I was an idiot.
Oh yeah. Well, listen, you're an idiot for many, many other reasons. So you know, you may have got that one right, but
I think I had Price in that one too. That was a good one. I was all in on Brandon Thatch. That was a mistake, and I quickly learned about Nico Price.
Yeah, I mean, who are you going here?
I'm leaning ever so slightly Nico Price, and it's a matter of consistency. I know he was hurt in the Moreno fight. But Luque is what is his record? He's 11-6-1. You never know what you're going to get from the guy. He's got, you know, a knockout win against Bilal Muhammad, and that, by the way, was one of those life-changing knockouts we like to talk about. Go watch that one on Fight Pass. That was vicious,
stiffening.
When Luque wins, he finishes. He's 4-2 in the UFC, and
2
all 4
submissions,
of his
2 knockouts.
Are by finishes.
Only loses by decision.
It's against Haider Hassan, Alvaro Herrera, Hector Urbina. And he lost to Michael Graves and Leon Edwards. Okay, I think
2
Nico
good guys,
Price
but yeah.
I think Nico Price, you know what? Nico Price, Leon Edwards would be a really interesting fight.
Yeah.
Sign me up for that fight. But I think that's about the level he's on. And Nico Price has a little more power than Leon Edwards. You know, he's talented on the ground. I actually, the more I look at it, I think Nico Price may be marginally better than Vicente Luque just about everywhere. And even though Price clearly showed his power, I think the one exception to that might be I think Luque hits a little harder. Not to take away from Price's power, I think Luque hits a little harder, and he's a Brazilian fighting out of the United States, but you know, from Brazil, one of those situations, and the fight's in Brazil. Yeah. I don't think it's enough to sway me away, but so I'll take Nico Price, and this is another one of those fights that wouldn't surprise me either way.
All right, moving on down the card here, we have Antonio Carlos Jr. fighting Jack Marshman.
Murder.
I'm going Antonio Carlos Jr. by submission. I don't even think it'll be close. Tony Fagnano, what say you? Talk me out of it.
Okay. Well, also I'm picking Nico Price was one of my bets.
Ooh. Sorry.
Plus 115.
I didn't realize you hadn't spoke.
plus 120. And then what fight? Sorry,
Antonio Carlos Jr., Jack Marshman.
Oh, the shoe face. Okay, yeah. Yep. I don't know that there's much you can say about this.
No.
I mean, shoe face. Yeah.
Yeah, Carlos Jr. by submission, and I think that's.
I don't think it's by submission. I think
decision?
it's by fucking knockout.
Oh, you think it'll knock him out?
I've been saying this. Carlos Jr. he won the Ultimate Fighter Brazil at heavyweight. They're fighting at 185. He hits like a goddamn truck. And Spicy wanted to play the ground game with him. That's why he didn't get knocked out. Marshman's going to try and box with him, and I think he gets knocked out. You want a hot take? I don't think. I won't go as far as you did with Rob Font. Antonio Carlos Jr. is in a title eliminator fight in 2018. I don't know if he's going to win it, but he's going to have a shot to fight. To be the guy.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like I need a fighter to fanboy out over on this card. I don't have one.
I don't have anybody, and there's really not a whole lot left. You want to fan out about Colombo?
No, definitely not.
All right, let's move on down the card. Hecron Diaz taking on Jared Gordon. This is good. I think this is great matchmaking. This is going to be a really fun fight. Boy, again, I have no real pick here. I think I'm going to go with Jared Gordon. I don't know. What are the odds on this fight?
Jared Gordon's a pretty decent favorite.
Is he really? Okay, so I wasn't sure.
Minus 180, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go Jared Gordon here. I mean, I don't think Jared Gordon is where Cub Swanson or Andre Fili is, but I mean, I don't know. Something's telling me Jared Gordon here. Tell me Jared Gordon, and something's telling me that I think he can finish this. I know that Hecron Diaz has a tendency to be able to grind stuff out to decisions and stuff, but I think Jared Gordon can finish this. I'm seeing a TKO.
Here you go. Just because you are, even we know MMA and math doesn't work, but it's worth looking at history, and it's something interesting that we always go through on the podcast, and that I like doing personally. Some people are against it. I like it.
You're gonna go lost to Nick Lentz?
There you go, your boy. Your human.
You say lost to Nick Lentz?
He was taken down 4 times by Nick Lentz.
That's it. That's it. You're done forever. You get taken down by Nick Lentz 4 times. That's it. You got nothing. No future.
He did take down a Yuri Alcantara 5 times before that.
Beat Darren Elkins by decision when Darren Elkins was Darren Elkins.
Yeah, it's going to be. I think it's just a matter of youth and takedowns. I just like Gordon's fighting style. I like that he looks for grappling, and I've never been super high on Hecron Diaz, so I'm never going to pick him, even though I get that it's a close fight. But for that reason alone, I'm going to take Gordon, just because I've never been overly impressed with Hecron.
Tony?
Yeah, I would agree with Sean. I've never really been impressed with Diaz either. And who I was really impressed with was Gordon in his debut. I hadn't really seen much of him before. He was in that Cage Fury fighting thing. That's an East Coast thing. I don't really get to see, or I don't pay much attention to the East Coast besides CES and whatnot. But man, and obviously he's not fighting a world beater or anything in his debut, Michael Kinwaz. But he was his overall game was very impressive, and he got the finish, and that's what I'm leaning towards favorite.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Next fight, and this is going to be the opening fight in the FS2 prelims. We have Zaleski dos Santos taking on Max Griffin. I definitely have some bias here with Max Griffin, so I will try to put that out the door. He's a really cool dude. If anyone has a chance to listen to some of his interviews, he's fantastic. But I actually do lean Max here, and I have a reason for it. I think, first of all, so Dos Santos has more history here. Obviously, they're fighting in Brazil. There's a lot of stuff, I think, going against Max here. But I will say I was really high on Max coming into the UFC. When he fought Colby Covington, I kind of knew where that was going, right? And it pretty much went there. And then when he had his next fight against, what was it? It was one of the brothers, the Montano, or what was it? I'm not looking at it. Who did he? There's 2 brothers, and I don't think they're both not very good. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Eric
Montano, I think
maybe?
There's 2 of them. There's 2 brothers, so he's one of them, but they both kind of suck. But anyway, beating him in the way that he beat him really doesn't mean a whole lot, other than it says like you beat a guy the way that you're supposed to beat a guy if you're good, right? That's the only thing it really proves. But it wasn't like a big crazy thing.
I was right. Eric Montano.
Yeah, and then conversely, you look at Dos Santos here. I mean that the win over Akhmadov, I think, means quite a bit. I mean, I think he's definitely of those guys that are of the Sambo guild or whatever. I think he's the one that's like the worst of the bunch, right? I don't know if anyone agrees with that, but he seems like he's kind of the worst of the bunch of those Sambo guys.
I watched his fight of the night performance. It was the Long Island card. It was
Lyman good.
That was some fucking fight. That was a great fight. And he also, I think it was Zaleski who ate it.
I'm a good fighter, man.
There was a knee in that fight, a knee up the middle, that made one of the most sickening sounds I've ever heard in my life. And Dos Santos just walked through it.
Yeah.
It was one of those, the whole place, the middle of the second round, the whole place went quiet. Like, that was his fucking skull, right?
Yeah,
like,
it's impressive.
He's tough.
But I will say this, I mean, we also need to remember, he had that type of a fight, with a guy who had been off for 2 years, and coming back in. And, I don't know. I see Max as being the kind of younger, hungrier guy here. I think he's able to get this done. But like I said, I got some bias, so I wouldn't go with me too much.
What's Max Griffin's wrestling takedown background? I actually have to look more into it.
He's a pretty good wrestler. I mean, obviously
as good as Covington.
He's not as good as Covington. He got taken down six times by Covington, and also kind of pieced apart a little bit on the feet. But I think he gassed, and he had taken the fight. There's some really bad blood between those two guys going into the fight that started in the regional scene, and they might have even had a fight booked at one point or something. Like, I don't remember exactly what the story is. But anyway, that's why he got a call up to the UFC, was to fight Covington because of that bad blood. And yeah, dude, he got walked through. You know what I mean? But he then would go and take Montaigne out pretty quickly there. So at least showing that he belongs. And he also has really good fight preparation. Like, what I really like about Max is one of the times I talked to him, he was fighting in Mexico, so he got one of those chambers and slept in one of those elevation tents. And he's smart. He's a smart fighter, and he goes into this, he takes it real serious. So, you can't say the same thing for all these guys.
I wish I knew, again, if only we knew game plans. I need to look more into his wrestling. And Tony, if you know any more about his takedown ability, it'd be really interested, because
I just talked to Max on Saturday too on the Fight Companion. I should have just asked him, like, what is your game plan? I might have. I'll fast forward. I'll tell you the time to fast forward to. You can listen to me talking to him, because we talk about the fight briefly, but I don't remember what he said. Because
that's where Zaleski is vulnerable. He was taken down 6 times by Nicholas Dalby. I'm going to repeat that. He was taken down 6 times by Nicholas Dalby, 3 times by Omari Akhmedov, 5 times by Keita Nakamura, and once by Lyman Good, but they were just standing and trading in a fun fight. So,
I bet you Max's game plan is to go in there and take him down. I mean, I'm just knowing from talking to him and the camp he trains at over there in MMA Gold, and just having interviewed him several times and talked to him privately, over the last 2 years or whatever. I mean, like, he really is a really smart fighter that game plans. Because again, you can't.
I'm taking Max Griffin.
You can't.
You sold me.
Because you really can't. I know that sounds really like banal, like to say something like that, but like, you really can't say that about all fighters. A lot of fighters don't really game plan. A lot of fighters really don't take a lot of this stuff. They basically do that, like, well, whatever the fight dictates, I go that way, whatever. Like, Max is not one of those types of guys, and like, he really does game plan quite a bit. So I just think he'll be able to whatever the clearest path to victory is, that's what they've been training on this entire time. You know what I mean? And I think he's going to be able to enact it. But again, this is another fight. There's a lot of unknowns. You know what I mean? You don't know a lot about either of these guys.
Yep. I'll take the shot on Griffin, just because there's not many underdogs I feel good about. And this is another one that I'm leaning and will have some exposure on DraftKings. And I don't, in all honesty, betting wise, if we want to talk more betting on this podcast, the only dog I'm probably considering betting is this one Tony said he already bet, and that's Nico Price.
Yeah.
I haven't done it yet, but that's the one I'm thinking about pulling the trigger on.
All right, moving on. We have a guy
We
who's
skipped Tony again. What's up?
Tony.
I feel like he's doing this on purpose.
I'm not. I promise. This was you. This was not
You
being
disrespect
sold.
Colby Covington and Rob Font.
No.
Fuck.
I don't care about Covington. He disrespected Rob Font.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay. You know what? I apologize to Rob Font if you're listening.
Thank you.
Kyle would really appreciate
Rob Font, avid
a
listener of the
sign.
show.
He would really like a signed jockstrap sent to his house if you can do that for him.
Please.
But I'm totally biased. Like Kyle said, I fucking love Max Griffin, and I always give these guys respect that get beat. He got beat in the Ultimate Fighter, for people who don't know, in 2012, and came all the way. He fought in our shitty regional scene over here in California for like 2 or 3 years at Tachi Palace fucking fights.
Yeah,
horrible. Awful stuff, and made his way back, and I'm really pulling for him. It's hard for me to be unbiased, but I do think that he is able to get the takedown versus a guy that just hasn't really shown good takedown defense, and is able to hopefully get a sub, because otherwise I think it might go bad for him.
Yeah. All right, moving on here. I apologize, Tony. You're going to go first on this one, so that we don't forget you.
Fancy.
Listen, Tony, you're a forgettable guy. What am I gonna say? Ooh.
That's the first time I've ever been called forgettable.
You're not forgettable. I can't pronounce this guy's name, and I'm not even gonna fucking try. It's the Brazilian that's fighting Jared Brooks. What's his name? How do you pronounce that man's name? Devison Figueiredo.
Alcantara. Alcantara.
He is an Alcantara.
It's one of those. He's Brazilian,
so therefore the names. Yeah, I got it.
Devison Figueiredo, in air quotes, Alcantara or Alcantara, whatever. Gotta hate Portuguese. Fuck
yeah,
Portuguese.
Right. Okay, so anyway, this is, again, great matchmaking. Obviously, not all records are created equal, but just having the zeros there makes the fight more interesting. Devison is 12-0. Jared Brooks is 13-0. Both of them have the one UFC fight. Jared Brooks, I had a chance to talk to him on the Fight Companion this past Saturday as well. And, one of the things we talked about was the octagon jitters that he felt, the adrenaline dump right in the first 90 seconds of that fight with Eric Shelton, and how much that affected the rest of the fight, and how he's just not expecting it this time. He kind of knows how to feel and what to do. Again, another fight nobody really knows, right? I mean, Devison walked through Marco Beltran. Marco Beltran sucks. Jared Brooks had a really close fight with a guy in Eric Shelton who really has proven to, I don't want to say he hasn't been very good, but Eric Shelton just has a propensity to get in these really close fights and then lose them, right? There's not a whole lot there. So I don't know. I mean, your guess is as good as mine. I'm going to go Jared Brooks just because I like the guy and I don't really know a whole lot about this fight. But, I mean, if I'm being unbiased, I mean, obviously Devison is in Brazil and I think that is going to make a big difference. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm going Jared Brooks. I think you didn't see his full arsenal. If you go back and watch Jared Brooks's old fights and stuff, I mean, man, he's a really, really good wrestler. Really powerful. He's small, but he also doesn't have. He's a guy he's fought at strawweight. So you talk about guys who struggle because they have to cut weight. He really doesn't have to cut that much weight. I mean, he kind of, you know what I mean? And I think that allows him to have a little bit more of a gas tank. And again, in that Eric Shelton fight, you could see it without him even admitting to it. You could see it. He adrenaline dumped in 90 seconds. I mean, it was pretty clear that that's what happened. And he was still able to win the fight. And so, yeah, I'm going to go Jared Brooks, but this is a really close fight. And I think if he wins this, then, that'll prove something to a lot of people. So, especially in Brazil. Tony. We're going to start with you.
I mean, with a super close fight like this, one that's possibly going to go to a decision, you always have that...
Lean the guy who's at home.
Yeah, the Brazilian thing is just... I don't know. Are we calling him Diaco or are we just going with Alcantara?
I've been calling him Devison because I think that's his name.
Okay. Well, Yeah, these
Fuck
guys
that.
have
We'll call
fucking
him
names.
DFA. Just call him DFA.
Yeah, Beltran does suck, but I mean, I don't want to completely write off a guy's win. He was able to beat the brakes off of Beltran and force the doctor stoppage, I believe it was. And he's a finisher. Almost all of his wins have been in the first round or the second round. And I think there is something to the point that Jared Brooks would be considered, a natural 125er. He probably walks around pretty close to that weight, and doesn't have to deal with a lot of the nasty stuff that people cutting weight have to deal with. And he does have that wrestling base, so that's why I'm gonna lean towards Brooks, just because the wrestling. I think he gets it done. I don't think it's going to be a terribly exciting fight, but I think it will put Brooks, on the map, I guess you could say, at least on somebody's on the radar.
You know what's crazy about Jared, man? He's 24 years old. His debut professional fight was in 2014. His debut amateur fight was in 2010. He's undefeated at amateur. So he's 24, had his first amateur fight 7 years ago. Undefeated as an amateur, and then undefeated so far as a professional. And even if wins are getting handed to you, which I don't think this is an instance of that. I mean, he fought in Pancrase in 2016, and he knocked out a guy who was 7-0. And that was at, I believe, that one was at strawweight. So, but he's also fought. Let me look. He's also fought at bantamweight and won. He's fought at strawweight, bantamweight, and flyweight, and again, all winning. So what I like about Jared Brooks is that he's been fighting for a while. And talking to him, he said he was fighting kind of underground in little smoker stuff when he was 15 years old. So I mean, he's just like, born and raised for this kind of thing. So I like going with those types of guys.
He did that Akhmat thing too, the Kadyrov, the crazy guys in charge of, which I mean, yeah, fuck them, but also that's a serious promotion. Like that's not,
and that guy was 7-0. He's also fought in World Series of Fighting, where he got a knockout in World Series of Fighting, the global one. I mean, he's fought all over the world, in the regional stuff. So he has a good little pedigree, and he was going to fight. He was going to make his debut against Ian McCall at UFC 208. I mean, that has to mean something. I mean, they booked that fight for a reason. So,
also, he has one of the best nicknames in the UFC, the Monkey God.
The Monkey God, yep. Sean?
I feel like we're not talking about his opponent enough.
I know.
Figueiredo, the one thing I totally disagree with Tony on is I've not seen a boring Figueiredo fight. Not one. And I've watched a few. The dude goes out, he gets hurt in the first round, he hurts the other guy in the second round. Like, there's just crazy fights. He won his debut against Marco Beltran, doctor stoppage. He does enough. He's very rarely in a boring fight. And it's so close. This is where I'm struggling with this one. I feel like this fight's going to burn me on DraftKings pretty bad because I think the fight, I wouldn't bet it at all because the fight is closer than the odds. The odds right now, Brooks is a minus 175 favorite and Figueiredo is plus 155. I think it's closer than that, and the prices on DraftKings are way apart, and I just naturally find myself towards the Brazilian because he's live in this fight. But I think Brooks is probably a little better, probably gets a couple takedowns. It's just this dude's fights never go as planned. There's just something crazy happens. Yeah. And as they're both. I think they're both undefeated. Someone's got to take the first loss here. It's an interesting fight. I'm pick-wise leaning Brooks, won't bet it, and on DraftKings, unfortunately, I'm finding myself with a fair amount of the Brazilian just because there's not a ton of value.
Before we get to this last fight, you can find the podcast at Loudmouth MMA on Stitcher, on Google Play. You can find me on Twitter at Loudmouth MMA. Sean, please plug your Twitter.
At
and whatever
the DFS,
else you want to plug.
Yeah, at the DFS Sniper YouTube channel. Also, my name at the DFS Sniper. Please give me a subscribe on there. I'm trying to hit 100 subscribers on YouTube only before the end of the year.
Let's make it happen, guys.
And the DFS Express, which you can find right here on this podcast stream, as well as over on Tony's website, which I'll plug in a second, MMA Today. The video will be up there. Like, comment, subscribe again, guys. It's really appreciated.
Tony?
Twitter at Big Tone MMA, website MMA-today.com, and our YouTube channel is starting to blow up. We had a exclusive video with Kane talking about John Jones that everybody's using, and then also there was a really good
Kane
Velasquez. Sorry, yeah.
I thought you were saying Kane from like WWF or E or whatever, and I was like,
wait a minute. I didn't even know there was a wrestler named Kane. I don't watch
that. it was Kane and Undertaker, baby.
Oh, Kane with a K. I see what you're saying. Okay. No. And then also we had a guy Kevin Wilson do a really good breakdown of the Brunson Machida fight with like a bunch of gifs and stuff that I probably should have read before this episode.
Yeah, that would have made a lot of sense.
So, yeah.
All right, let's talk about our first fight on the UFC prelims, the last fight that we are talking about. Do we have to? Marcelo Golm, who is 5-0, taking on Christian Colombo. I don't care who is fighting Christian Colombo. I'm picking that person. I'm going Golm. I haven't looked into it, but I don't really care. Christian Colombo is god awful. So
Colombo or Gareth McClellan, go.
Ooh, boy, Gareth. But Gareth is no longer in the UFC, so I mean,
even with the potential 80-pound difference,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean,
yeah,
Colombo's terrible.
Christian Colombo was brought in here to lose.
Like Colombo had a draw with Joris Danho. Danho. He had a draw against Danho. Okay. Is he the only person in history to get late finished by Luis Henrique?
That was the ugliest armbar I've ever seen.
Like, Luis Henrique has historically bad cardio. Like, right? Like, that's his whole thing. His whole thing is that he has no cardio. Like, zero cardio. And got a late finish. Like, just, come on now. Get out of here. Christian Colombo's terrible. It doesn't, to use this analogy again, if he was fighting a fucking pile of leaves, like, I'd pick the pile of leaves by TKO. I mean, it's just, whatever. I don't even know who this guy is. I don't know. Maybe I should look into it more, obviously.
No, you're about right.
I mean, talk to me. Does anyone know anything about the guy? I should actually do, like, real research. What I'm saying is not real research. I mean, talk to me about his opponent.
His opponent is 5-0. He's the 23rd ranked heavyweight out of Brazil. I just caught that.
Oh no!
Ooh. Oh my goodness! But all 5 of his wins are by first round knockout. He's never been longer than 4 minutes, 4:33 in his first fight.
Oh no! Is Christian Colombo gonna win?
Oh god! The guys of his records. Tapology doesn't even have records for 4 of them, and the last one was 1 and 2.
Oh no! Oh no! Christian Colombo's gonna win.
Nope, I'm still taking Marcelo Golm.
I'm still taking Golm. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. Christian Colombo's terrible. By the way.
Huh? The odds makers had to have looked into it a little. Marcelo Golm did open as like a -170 favorite.
Okay, good. I trust them.
And I won't sink any money into Christian Colombo.
No.
Although I'll talk about it on the DFS Express. I might have a couple shares of Colombo now that I said it out loud because no one's going to play him. Fucking nobody.
Yeah.
And they are heavyweights. So,
Tony.
God damn it.
Am I going to get fired if I don't make a pick here?
You have to make a pick.
I have to. Okay.
I'm gonna TKO.
To be divisive.
Just to be divisive, go Colombo.
I'm just gonna pick Colombo just to go against you guys. One other thing, he's holding pads in his Tapology picture. I think he should. I think hint. Maybe that's what you should be doing. Holding pads.
Hey.
That was almost as bad as my Gina Mazzani Slurpee Slam back in the day.
I don't even remember that. It was.
A
She,
Slurpee Slam.
because she worked. She looked like she worked at 7-Eleven. Is that what it was?
Yeah, that's what it was. Or yeah.
How does someone look like they work at 7-Eleven?
It was hyperbolic. She was
Come on
like
now.
the
Don't be
15th
ignorant. You know.
Wait, no.
But she doesn't look like that.
Which fighter was it? Let me look her up.
No, it wasn't a look. It was Gina Mazzani versus Sarah McMahon, and they brought in this Alaskan chick to get smashed. And
Yeah,
I was saying,
she had no record. She had never fought anybody. It was one of those like
girl.
it was
I
one
need
of
to
those
see
like
her.
every single one of her opponents like were 0-0. You know what I mean? It was just one of those.
The soccer mom, the token soccer mom at a
Basically.
MMA regional scene.
And
I think she's
like
going to fight again, isn't she? I think she has a fight.
Good for her.
I need a picture. Who is this? What do I need to be googling?
Gina Mazzani.
Well, guys, that is all for us. We will continue this conversation off air.
Oh, whoa! I mean, you got to let Tony have this reaction here. You got to give him the opportunity to say something incredibly racist and or
misogynistic or
Gina M.A.
you're not able to find her. She barely has a topology. Like it was like a picture of like the letter G, like on her topology. I mean, it was like
Mazany. No, she has a UFC profile.
Now she does.
Yeah. Stop being mean to her. Oh my god, she does look like she works at 7-Eleven.
There it is.
She looks like trailer trash. She well, no offense to her. I mean, I hope she's
no
not.
offense to people that work at 7-Eleven.
She probably beat the shit out of me, but goddamn, that is or just your local gas station. You know,
yeah, man.
Hop in there at 2:00 in the morning.
There she is.
This chick looking back at you.
There she is, greasy haired.
She's fighting on the China card that's gonna make me stay up 70 hours trying to tape study all these fucking people I don't know.
Is it
fighting Yanan Wu?
Yeah, we're probably that might be one of the episodes where we skip a breakdown. Because I remember looking at that fight card and going, "What are we going to talk about?" Like,
I mean, we could talk about Gina Mazzani's Slurpee preference.
All right, let's get the hell out of here. This episode's going on for fucking ever. See you guys. See you next week.